Otitis media, or OM in simple terms, is inflammation and/or infection of the ear. The human ear is divided into the outer, middle and inner ear. OM affects the middle ear, which is a small air-filled cavity which contains three tiny bones: the malleus, incus and the stapes. All three bones amplify the sound waves conducted to them by the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. One of the main causes of OM is a bacterial infection in the airways. The invasion of this bacteria can affect the development of the immune system in a child and lead to the movement of bacteria into the middle ear through the eustachian tube. This is the narrow canal that connects the middle ear to the nose to allow a passage of air. A blocking of the eustachian tube can cause inflammation and a build-up of fluid within the middle ear. This fluid keeps the middle ear from conducting sound properly to the inner ear, affecting the hearing and speech of the infected individual. The symptoms of OM can range from asymptomatic to severe. Individuals can experience pain, fever, swelling, and discharges of pus. If left untreated, otitis media can become acute and lead to complications. Chronic suppurative OM is the most debilitating form of the disease as it causes persistent perforation of the eardrum. This can cause scarring and lead to severe consequences such as permanent conductive hearing loss. The most common population in Australia to experience otitis media are Indigenous children. Across the country, the type of OM infection may vary. However, severe OM is most commonly found in Indigenous children living in remote communities. Some studies suggest up to 91% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children in remote communities struggle with OM.
Conductive hearing loss associated with chronic otitis media can dramatically impact Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' lives. Many social determinants such as education, employment, income, and social success may be negatively affected. Early onset of chronic OM in children before the age of 12 months can result in delays in language and cognitive development. This delay in language can lead to poor literacy skills and slowed educational progress. An Aboriginal child's education is directly affected by the hearing loss associated with otitis media. Being unable to participate fully in class due to hearing loss can cause Indigenous children to feel isolated and stupid. Behavioral problems due to this social isolation can manifest in disruptive behavior within the classroom, resulting in poor educational achievement. If these issues continue into adolescence, early school dropout is more likely, which can increase risk of future involvement with the criminal justice system. Adults with unilateral or bilateral hearing loss associated with OM can experience stigma within their communities, resulting in a loss of self-worth and reduced social skills, which can be linked to criminal activity. The poor educational outcomes caused by OM hearing loss can have lifelong consequences for the employment, income, and position on the social gradient of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders.
The incidence and prevalence rates of otitis media are much higher for Indigenous Australians than those of the non-Indigenous population. OM was around 2.8 times more prevalent for Indigenous people than for non-Indigenous people. For just Indigenous Australian children alone, their prevalence rate of otitis media is higher than that of the whole Australian population. Some Indigenous communities in Australia have a prevalence of chronic suppurative otitis media up to 10 times higher than the 4% that the World Health Organization identifies as being a massive public health problem needing urgent attention. The Australian Bureau of Statistics found that 12%, which is 1 in 8 people, of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders have reported having an ear disease and mastoid hearing problems. Noticeably, both female and males had a similar prevalence rate. Females were 12%, while males were 13%. In 2004 and 2005, National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Health Survey found that there was a 4% prevalence rate of OM among Indigenous children aged 0 to 14 years old, compared with 2% for non-Indigenous children, and a 5% prevalence rate of complete or partial hearing loss or deafness, compared with a 1% rate for non-Indigenous children.
To better understand otitis media, or OM, we will be comparing two distinct groups that have experience with the health condition. The two different lived experiences we will compare are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander adults with conductive hearing loss due to having OM during childhood, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who were carer of a child who had OM. Both early and late experiences with OM will be addressed. We will be identifying and discussing the similarities these two populations have regarding their experience with otitis media. Both carers of a child with otitis media and adults with conductive hearing loss due to chronic OM have had similar experiences of social stigma attached to the condition. This stigmatization has led to feelings of shame and self-blame. One mother spoke about feeling judged by others.
That feeling that you're not a good enough parent, seeing the looks in these people's eyes and knowing they're condemning me as an unfit mother. This disease has had an impact on my kids, but it has also had an impact on me.
This was similar to the judgment felt by one adult Aboriginal man.
You're already confused as it is growing up, but to be deaf on top of that, and then to watch, to see how people treat you differently if you have a disability. So I kept it hidden, and it was really stressful.
Dealing with this social stigma has led to feelings of self-blame that can last for years, as one mother explained.
Here it is, 20-something years later, and I'm still embarrassed. Oh shame, that my son went to school with all this pus coming out of his ears.
Her child also blamed himself for his condition.
When my youngest was 12 years old, and he'd come up and say, "You know, Mum, I'm dumb, and I'm stupid. I should be dead. I shouldn't be alive."
Self-blame and the concurrent social isolation can lead to future problems within the educational system. Both carers of a child with otitis media and adults with associated hearing loss have had educators mistakenly attribute behavioral issues to different causes, such as personality or poor parenting, instead of identifying the issues as symptoms of the disease. One adult spoke about how
Teachers thought I was ignorant because you didn't hear people. Sometimes people would take offense to you.
This Aboriginal woman spoke about how when they were a child with OM,
my parents and my teachers would mistake my not answering them or reacting to them as me ignoring them or just deliberately not listening.
her children's teachers also reacted in the same way as
hearing problems become what's seen as behavioural problems.
Parents of children with OM can be made to feel as if their child's behavior is their fault. This mother spoke about how important it is to other parents that they understand that they shouldn't blame their parenting skills as the reason for their child's behavior.
When I tell them that it's not your fault, the child behaves this way and they're like, "So they're not naughty." No, they're not naughty kids. They just didn't hear you, and you see the relief of the families.
This mistaken attribution of a child's disruptive behavior at school can result in poor academic achievement and affect their future employment. Correspondingly, both the carers of children with OM and adults living with the repercussions of chronic OM have witnessed and experienced difficulties with employment and communication in the workplace. This mother has seen how hearing loss has impacted her children's employment.
I've got 2 children. Both have had ear disease in different forms. I've seen the impact on their behaviour. I've seen the impact on their lack of concentration. One of the older ones can't seem to hold down a job, has a lot of mental health, depression issues, and the baby, the younger one, has the same issues.
This Aboriginal adult with hearing loss spoke similarly about difficulties communicating at work.
There have been some times when the boss had said to me, "How come this is like this? This is not what I told you." We get in a rip-off argument about what he said and what I heard and what I said and what he put across. It's a lot of swallow your pride stuff. It's about owning up to, yeah, I didn't hear that.
Hearing loss due to OM can have long-term effects on the employment and mental health of Indigenous people.
Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders suffer from ear disease and hearing loss at greater rates than the rest of Australia. Indigenous children living in remote areas are particularly susceptible. Otitis media and the associated hearing loss due to its complications can cause detrimental effects on social status, employment, education and mental health for Indigenous people. This is why targeted prevention programs and early intervention to reduce the extent of ear disease and its consequences are the key to greater improvements in Indigenous social, education and employment opportunities. This could also reduce Indigenous involvement in the criminal justice system. Addressing the prevalence of otitis media and its effect on the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders not only involves the issue of individual health, but also involves a broader issue of social justice for these original inhabitants of Australia.